Think about the last time someone told you to just go for a walk. Maybe it was your doctor leaning back in that chair with a clipboard, telling you that 30 minutes of daily walking is the single best thing you can do for your heart, your joints, and your longevity. Maybe it was a well-meaning friend or a headline on a magazine in the waiting room at your physical therapist's office. Walk 30 minutes a day. It sounds so simple, so universal, so achievable. Now think about what actually happened when you tried to follow that advice. You laced up your shoes, you stepped outside with every intention of doing the right thing for your body, and within the first 3 or 4 minutes, you felt it. That deep, grinding ache behind your kneecap, that stiffness in your hip that did not loosen up the way they promised it would, that sharp little pinch on the outside of your ankle that makes you subtly adjust your stride so you are walking just slightly crooked, hoping nobody notices. By minute 10, your lower back started to stiffen. By minute 20, your knees felt swollen, your hips felt like rusty gate hinges, and when you finally got home and lowered yourself into a chair, you felt worse than when you started. And here is what nobody tells you. That guilt you feel for not completing the full 30 minutes, that nagging voice that says you are being lazy, that you are letting your body deteriorate because you cannot do something as basic as walking around your neighborhood, that guilt is based on advice that was never designed for your body as it exists right now. It was designed for a textbook version of an adult body, a body with thick, healthy cartilage, a body with abundant synovial fluid, a body with tendons and ligaments that still have the elastic properties of a healthy 40-year-old. That is not your body. And pretending it is, forcing it through 30 minutes of repetitive ground impact because someone with a generic checklist told you to is not medicine. In many cases, it is the opposite. I am a
Think about the
surgeon.
last time
I have spent
someone
my
told you to
career
just
opening
go
up the
for a
joints
walk.
of patients who did everything
Maybe
they
it
were
was your
told.
doctor,
They walked.
leaning
They
back
walked
in
through
that
pain.
chair with
They
a
walked on
clipboard.
concrete. They walked on worn-out cartilage because they believed movement was always good and stopping was always bad. And when I opened those joints on the operating table, I saw cartilage that looked like a dirt road after a season of heavy trucks. Pitted, cracked, worn down to the bone in places where the impact forces were greatest. These were not sedentary people. These were obedient patients who followed bad advice with good intentions. Today, I am going to tell you something that could change the way you think about exercise for the rest of your life. You do not need to walk 30 minutes a day to get the cardiovascular, circulatory, and joint health benefits that walking provides. You can achieve those same benefits sitting in a chair without a single footfall of impact on your damaged joints. And I am going to show you exactly how, with 5 specific seated movements that are grounded in vascular physiology and joint science, not fitness trends. But before I hand you those 5 movements, you need to understand the science of what is actually happening inside your joints after 60. Because once you see it, you will never force yourself through a painful walk again. Let us talk about what is happening inside your joints at a level most people never get to hear about, the cellular level, where the real damage begins long before you feel the first twinge of pain. Every major joint in your body is lined with articular cartilage. When you were young, this cartilage was thick, smooth, and almost impossibly slippery. But here is the critical detail. Cartilage does not have its own blood supply. It is completely cut off from your bloodstream. So how does it survive and get the nutrients it needs to repair itself? The answer is synovial fluid. Synovial fluid is the clear, viscous liquid that fills the capsules surrounding each joint. Think of it as the oil in a high-performance engine. This fluid serves 2 essential functions. It lubricates the cartilage surfaces so they glide without friction, and it acts as the delivery system for every nutrient your cartilage needs to stay alive. Oxygen, glucose, the building blocks of collagen, all of it is carried to your cartilage cells through synovial fluid. Without adequate synovial fluid, your cartilage does not just dry out, it starves. Now, here is where aging changes everything. After roughly age 40, your body begins producing less synovial fluid overall. The cells lining your joint capsule, called synoviocytes, become less active. They produce smaller quantities of fluid, and the fluid they do produce contains lower concentrations of hyaluronic acid, which is the molecule responsible for giving synovial fluid its thick, viscous, protective quality. Imagine the difference between honey and water. Young, healthy synovial fluid behaves more like honey, clinging to the cartilage surface and forming a protective film that absorbs shock and prevents bone from contacting bone. Aged synovial fluid behaves more like water, thin, runny, quick to be squeezed away from the cartilage surface under load, leaving areas of cartilage temporarily exposed and vulnerable. By the time you reach 60, this process has been underway for 2 decades. Your cartilage is thinner than it was. The surface that was once as smooth as polished glass now has irregularities, small fissures, and rough patches where the collagen fibers have begun to fray. And the fluid protecting that surface is less viscous, less abundant, and less capable of cushioning the forces you put through your joints every single day. This combination of thinner cartilage and weaker, watery synovial fluid creates a joint environment that is profoundly different from the one you had at 30. It is a joint that can still function, still bear load, still move through its range of motion. But it is a joint that now operates with dramatically reduced margins of safety. The cushioning is thinner, the lubrication is weaker, the repair system is slower, and every impact, every footfall, every repetitive loading cycle carries more consequence than it once did. This is the joint that you are being told to pound against the pavement for 30 minutes every morning. And that brings us to a conversation that could genuinely change the trajectory of your physical independence. Let us talk about what actually happens inside an aging joint during a 30-minute walk, because the damage is not theoretical. It is mechanical, measurable, and cumulative. When you walk, every single step sends an impact force of up to twice your body weight through your lower body. Over a 30-minute walk, you take thousands of steps, meaning your aging knee cartilage absorbs roughly 1,000,000 pounds of cumulative compressive force every single day. For a young, healthy joint with thick cartilage and abundant, viscous synovial fluid, this is well within the design specifications. The cartilage deforms slightly under each load, squeezing out fluid and then reabsorbing it like a sponge, a process that actually nourishes the cartilage. The synovial fluid forms a protective film that prevents the bones from ever making direct contact. The system works beautifully. But remember the joint we described a moment ago, the 60-year-old joint, the one with thinning cartilage, watery synovial fluid, and fatigued chondrocytes. In that joint, the protective film of synovial fluid is squeezed away more easily under load because it lacks the viscosity to cling to the cartilage surface. This means that during peak loading, at the moment your foot strikes the ground and the force transmits upward through your knee, there are brief moments when the cartilage surfaces are not fully lubricated. When damaged cartilage that is already rough and irregular meets opposing cartilage under hundreds of pounds of force without adequate fluid between them, you get friction. And friction on cartilage is not like friction on skin. You do not feel a burn. What you get is microscopic shearing of collagen fibers, tiny fragments of cartilage breaking free from the surface and floating into the joint space. These fragments trigger an inflammatory response. Your immune system detects them as debris and releases enzymes that mistakenly attack the intact cartilage as well, accelerating the very erosion you are trying to prevent. Impact causes micro damage, which releases fragments, which triggers inflammation, which destroys more cartilage. The cycle repeats walk after walk, until you are in my operating room looking at an X-ray that shows bone sitting directly against bone. Now here is the part that makes this particularly insidious. In the early and middle stages of this process, walking often feels beneficial. You start your walk stiff and achy. After 10 minutes, the stiffness decreases and your joints feel warmer. You interpret this as evidence that walking is helping, and in one narrow sense it is. The movement is distributing synovial fluid and increasing blood flow, which temporarily reduces stiffness. But the price you are paying underneath that temporary relief, the mechanical grinding and inflammatory cascade happening at the cartilage surface, far exceeds the lubrication benefit. You feel better in the short term while doing measurable damage in the long term. It is like hearing the engine run smoother after you add oil, not realizing the oil pan has a crack and you are actually running out faster than you are pouring in. There is another factor that is almost never discussed: the role of walking surfaces. The vast majority of Americans walk on concrete or asphalt, the two hardest surfaces a joint can encounter. Unlike a forest trail or a rubberized track, concrete returns almost 100% of the impact force back into your body. There is no give, no absorption, no cushioning from the surface itself. Every single step on concrete delivers the full, unattenuated impact directly into your cartilage. For a 60-year-old joint that is already operating at the edge of its mechanical tolerance, this is like running a car with bald tires on gravel. The road is punishing, and the tires have nothing left to offer. And let us address falling. Walking on uneven sidewalks or unexpected curbs is the single most common activity associated with falls in older adults. The walk that was supposed to protect your independence can become the event that ends it, simply because you caught a toe on a crack you did not see. None of this means that movement is bad. Movement is essential. Your joints require movement to survive. Your cardiovascular system demands it. Your muscles atrophy without it. But the form of movement matters enormously. And the critical insight, the one that can redirect the entire trajectory of your joint health, is that the cardiovascular and circulatory benefits of a 30-minute walk do not come from the impact. They come from the muscular contractions. They come from the rhythmic pumping of blood through your veins. They come from the activation of your skeletal muscles, which squeeze blood back toward the heart and drive circulation to every tissue in your body. You do not need ground impact to achieve any of this. You need muscular effort, and muscular effort can happen in a chair. This is where everything changes. What I am about to walk you through is a sequence of 5 seated movements that perform together for approximately 25 to 30 minutes, replicate the cardiovascular stimulus, the venous return, the joint lubrication, and the muscular activation of a 30-minute walk without placing a single pound of impact force through your damaged cartilage. These are not gentle stretches. These are not token gestures. These are physiologically targeted movements designed to do specific things inside your body at a cellular and circulatory level. Let us begin with the first movement: continuous seated marching. Sit in a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor and your back resting against the chair back. Now begin alternately lifting your knees as if you are marching in place while seated. Lift your right knee as high as is comfortable, then lower it as your left knee rises. Establish a steady, rhythmic pace, roughly the same tempo you would use if you were walking at a moderate speed down the street. Continue this marching pattern without stopping for 5 full minutes. Here is what this movement is doing inside your body. Every time you lift your knee, you are contracting your hip flexor muscles and your quadriceps. Every time you lower your leg, your hamstrings activate. This continuous alternating contraction creates a pumping action in the large veins of your thighs. Your skeletal muscles literally squeeze the veins as they contract, pushing blood upward against gravity back toward your heart. This mechanism is called the skeletal muscle pump, and it is the exact same mechanism that drives venous return when you walk. Your heart rate increases, your cardiac output rises, your lungs begin working harder to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide. Within 2 minutes of sustained seated marching, your cardiovascular system is responding almost identically to the way it responds during a moderate-paced walk. The difference is that your knees, hips, and ankles are bearing zero impact. The joint surfaces glide gently through a safe mid-range of motion, bathing in whatever synovial fluid is available without the destructive compressive forces of ground contact. Now let us move seamlessly into the second movement: rapid ankle pumps. Without pausing after your marching set, place both feet flat on the floor. Now rapidly pump both ankles by pushing your toes down toward the floor and then pulling them up toward your shins. Move quickly, aiming for roughly 60 to 80 pumps per minute with each foot. Continue for 3 full minutes. This may look trivial, but your calves are known in vascular medicine as the second heart. When you sit or stand still, blood pools in your lower extremities, causing that heavy, aching feeling. Rapid ankle pumps engage this calf pump at its maximum firing rate. You are essentially wringing the blood out of your lower leg veins and propelling it upward with each contraction. Simultaneously, each pump cycle moves your ankle joint through its full range of flexion and extension, circulating synovial fluid across the ankle joint surfaces, nourishing the cartilage, and maintaining the mobility you need to walk safely when you do need to get up and move around your home. This single movement addresses two of the most critical health concerns for adults over 60, poor circulation and ankle stiffness, both of which are major contributors to falls. The third movement shifts our focus upward. Seated thoracic sweeps. Sit tall in your chair. Extend both arms straight out in front of you at shoulder height, palms facing each other. Now slowly sweep both arms out to the sides, opening your chest wide, squeezing your shoulder blades together behind you as your arms reach as far back as they comfortably can. Hold that open position for 2 full seconds, feeling your chest expand and your upper back muscles engage. Then slowly bring your arms back together in front of you. Repeat this sweeping motion 12 times, then rest for 30 seconds and perform a second set of 12. This movement is specifically designed to counteract the rounded, forward slumped posture that becomes increasingly prevalent after 60. When your thoracic spine is chronically flexed forward, your rib cage compresses, reducing your lung capacity. You physically cannot take a full, deep breath because your ribs do not have room to expand. This reduced lung capacity means less oxygen enters your blood with each breath. By actively opening your chest and mobilizing your thoracic spine, you mechanically expand your rib cage. This allows for deeper inhalation, naturally increasing the oxygen saturation of your blood and improving circulation directly to your joints. This is the respiratory benefit of walking that nobody talks about, and you can achieve it sitting down by deliberately engaging the muscles that open your chest cavity. The fourth movement targets the largest joint in your body and the one most commonly destroyed by forced walking. Seated leg extensions with a controlled tempo. Sit tall in your chair, slowly straighten your right leg out in front of you until your knee is fully extended. Hold that position for 3 seconds while gently squeezing the quadriceps muscle above your kneecap. Then lower your leg back down over a slow count of 4. Do not let your leg drop. Control the descent with your muscles. Perform 12 repetitions on your right leg, then 12 on your left. Rest for 30 seconds and perform a second set on each side. This movement is doing something remarkable inside your knee joint. As you slowly extend your leg, the kneecap glides upward in its groove along the femur. This controlled gliding motion creates a gentle spreading of synovial fluid across the cartilage surface of both the kneecap and the femoral groove beneath it. Because the movement is slow, controlled, and unloaded, meaning you are not standing on the leg during the exercise, the compressive forces are a tiny fraction of what they would be during walking. You are getting all of the lubrication benefit with almost none of the mechanical cost. The 3-second hold at the top activates your quadriceps isometrically, meaning the muscle contracts without the joint moving, which strengthens the muscle without generating any additional cartilage friction. Strong quadriceps are the single most important muscular factor in protecting an aging knee joint. They act as shock absorbers, decelerating your body during every step you take when you walk around your home. The stronger they are, the less force reaches your cartilage. This one exercise, done daily, can measurably reduce the impact loading on your knees during all of your daily activities. The fifth and final movement brings everything together. Seated hip circles with controlled breathing. Sit near the front edge of your chair with both feet flat on the floor. Lift your right foot approximately 2 inches off the ground. Now slowly draw a circle with your knee, letting the motion originate from deep in your hip socket. Make 10 circles clockwise, then 10 counterclockwise. Switch legs and repeat. As you perform each circle, breathe slowly and deliberately. Inhale for 4 counts as your knee travels through the first half of the circle. Exhale for 4 counts as it completes the second half. This movement is specifically designed to distribute synovial fluid across the cartilage surfaces of your hip socket, which is a ball and socket joint that requires rotational movement to stay lubricated. Walking only moves your hip in one plane, forward and backward. It does very little to lubricate the lateral and rotational surfaces of the hip socket. Seated hip circles move the femoral head gently through multiple planes within the acetabulum, coating surfaces that walking never reaches. The controlled breathing component ensures consistent oxygen delivery to your working tissues, transforming this from a simple joint movement into a full circulatory event that supports your entire lower body. When you perform all 5 of these movements in sequence, resting briefly between each one, the total session takes approximately 25 to 30 minutes. By the end, your heart rate will have been elevated for the majority of that time. Your leg muscles will have pumped blood through your veins with hundreds of contractions. Your major joint surfaces will have been bathed in synovial fluid through safe, controlled ranges of motion. Your chest will have opened, your lungs will have expanded, and your blood oxygen levels will be higher than they were when you sat down. All of this without a single footfall of impact on your aging cartilage. Now, I want to leave you with one final piece of medical guidance that ties directly to everything we have discussed today, and it involves something you probably are not getting enough of: water. Remember that synovial fluid we talked about, the protective liquid your joints desperately need to cushion and nourish their cartilage surfaces? Your body manufactures that fluid from water. It cannot produce synovial fluid without adequate hydration. And here is the problem. After 60, your brain's thirst signaling mechanism becomes significantly less sensitive. Research has documented that older adults can be meaningfully dehydrated, losing up to 2% of their total body water without experiencing any sensation of thirst. Your joints are running dry and your body is not telling you. Make this non-negotiable. Drink a full glass of water before your seated exercise session. Coffee is a mild diuretic, and if you start your morning with it before water, you actively dehydrate your joint capsules during the exact window they need moisture the most. Water first, chair exercises second, coffee third. This sequence is the simplest and most powerful thing you can do for your joints every single morning. If you found value in what you just heard, I need you to do 2 things right now. First, subscribe to Liberty Aging and turn on your notifications, because in my next video, I am going to reveal the 3 household movements that are secretly accelerating hip arthritis in adults over 60, and I am going to show you exactly how to modify them to protect your independence for years to come. You do not want to miss that one. Second, send this video to someone you love who is over 60 and struggling with joint pain. Share it with the person who keeps trying to walk but comes home hurting every time. This information could change their life. Thank you for being here. Protect your joints. I will see you in the next one.